Thank you, Governor Phil Murphy, for joining us.
It's great to be with you, and it's an honor to meet Lauren and Ella.
We've been friends for a while, and you've been friends of the family for even longer. And it's really, I take great pride in introducing you to Lauren Bergman, who's in her studio.
Lauren, I love your work.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to meet you.
And from Stockholm, Sweden, she just flew in, my cousin, Ella Milch.
Hello, Governor. I'm happy to meet you.
Ella is our composer. And Phil, it's really an honor. This is the first event that we're doing on the LEDI project. Governor Phil Murphy, you've been involved in this and spoken so forcefully.
We're always open-minded to new ideas and new initiatives, but this notion of tying this very challenging world to this dark chapter in mankind's history, to the beauty of the art and the music, I find incredibly profound. And again, I'm honored to be a part of this discussion.
When I watched what was happening in Charlottesville, which is not far from where I grew up, it just wrenched me. It really translates to a loss of compassion in many ways, that we're disconnected.
In your case, you went to the internet to try to understand a little bit about this rise of anti-Semitism, and you came across a photograph that prompted you to start these portraits.
I looked further, and she had been killed in the Holocaust. And it was like a sudden realization that I wanted to tell a story about her.
And the question becomes, how do we deal with something as enormous, these huge, huge issues that we face? How do we get our heads around it?
We know the reality that's out there, and we know it isn't just anti-Semitism. It's anti-religious hate of all shapes and sizes. But this statistic took my breath away. The Jewish people represent 2.4% of the American population. And of all the anti-religious hate crimes and acts committed in America, 55% of them were anti-Semitic. So this has to resonate deep into our bones and our souls. Sadly, anti-Semitic behavior is rising in New Jersey, it's rising in New York, it's rising in America, it's rising in Germany, in fact, around the world. So I wish there was a one magic wand we could reach for. Sadly, there isn't. So our state is in all of the above mode. Everything from hard-edged law enforcement to aggressive online pushback and presence, to hardening of targets and monies for extra security, to using my bully pulpit, to focusing on education and the next generation.
Phil, a few years ago, I was very fortunate to encounter the works of Lauren Bergman. And this is the painting that I saw, Phil. As I walked closer to it, and I saw something next to the painting, which stopped me in my tracks. What I saw, Phil, is this photograph. And there was a caption to the photograph of Ava Nemova, who died as a young girl, died in the Holocaust. And the painting was Ava Nemova's life reimagined. What could have been. It happens that on the day I was introduced to Lauren Bergman at her studio. Ella came with me, and something magical happened. Ella Milch and Lauren Bergman connected, and they started sharing their artistic vision. And Ella said, I hear music. There's something about the stories in these paintings that speak to me. And Ella and Lauren started to work on a collaboration to bring music to these paintings.
And these are profound, incredibly moving images and music. So I'm incredibly honored to be a part of this, and God bless these precious lives that were cut short. I saw some of renderings of Lauren's paintings over the past day or so alongside these photographs, and it's beautiful art, but it's soul crushing to think about what happened to these young girls and young women.
I wanted people to see that somehow if they could look in the eyes of this innocent life and connect with the horrors of what happens when hatred is set free.
Without music, there could be a lot of things forgotten. For instance, the phrase, we shall overcome someday. Or one day, we can say it once, twice, but the music makes it. We shall overcome, and we cannot forget, because the music makes the emotional connection.
Well, extraordinary music, extraordinary portrait. And what's very special about this portrait, Governor, as you see, it's a group portrait. All the other portraits in the collection, and let me mention, you mentioned Robert Kraft's name. This collection will have its debut at the Hadassah Brandeis Institute at Brandeis University in September and October. Robert Kraft has just announced a very significant endowment to fight anti-Semitism to Brandeis University. So again, there are connections here. It then moves to the Jewish Museum of Florida, and the intention is to bring this and educational programming to around the country, and there's interest around the world. So we're at the early stages embarking on this journey. As I said, in this photograph, there are a number of interesting things. It's a collection, it's a group photograph. But the most interesting, certainly for me, in this portrait and in this photograph, one of the members is still alive. And this is a portrait of my family, and of my mother's family in particular. And at 92 years young, this is my mother, Lucia Milch, who is the young girl that you see in the middle of this portrait.
Everything which I had during my childhood is divided into two periods. Anti-Semitism, as I knew it on my own skin, is very, very much part of that. Without anti-Semitism, some horrible things were happening through history, but in that kind of an organized, brutal, unbelievably vicious manner, as I personally saw, heard, and witnessed, never happened before. Anti-Semitism is the result of that. It's impossible to sit in this very comfortable, beautiful, well-appointed, warm, clean apartment and to think that overnight, like that, things can turn to such viciousness. It scares me to think about it, because then I pose the question to myself, what is it that we can do? Never to stop talking about it.
We need a zero tolerance world. And I'll leave you with one other thought. It can't be just the 2.4% of our population that's Jewish. It can't just be the Holocaust survivors. It can't just be governors or mayors or presidents or senators. It's got to be literally every single one of us. It doesn't matter what our occupation is, what our relationship to the Jewish faith is, or the Holocaust. Every one of us needs to be in this fight, because if we don't, my fear is we won't win it. And again, I'm incredibly honored to be with not only Team Milch, and I thank David for the invitation, and Mrs. Milch, God bless you.
We must never be silent. We must do everything, or at least something like this. Otherwise, we are in danger as a society, as a people.
What an honor it's been to meet you all, and thank you so much for having me, everybody.
So I want to thank my friend, Governor Phil Murphy, Governor of New Jersey, our artist, Lauren Bergman, our wonderful composer, Ella Milch Sharif, my mother, Lucia Milch, the whole team in the governor's office, and the LEDI team for organizing this important discussion. We will be bringing LEDI to Brandeis University in the fall and to the Florida Jewish Museum in the spring, and beyond that, touring nationwide and abroad. We have to do this work. We have to bring these learnings to adults, to children, to universities, to museums, and LEDI has the power and the impact to do so. So thank you all for watching and for supporting LEDI, Lives Illuminated, Dreams Illuminated, as we embark on this journey together.